Good morning, Women for the Culture. Camille Davis here, checking in for another episode of The Rundown. It is such a pleasure to join you guys again for another Monday. And I almost got a little confused. I didn't know where I was because, of course, it's Meet the Media Monday as well. So make sure that you catch us over on Meet the Media after this because we are going to get into another amazing woman in media that we have to give her flowers. So it looks like our guest is here. I am going to get her on up so we can get started. And I hope you guys are having a great week. What a great way to start the day and start by just, shaking off all the craziness. Hello, Miss Mayo. How are you?
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
First of all, who better to have on a Monday morning because the energy is refreshing. It's a vibration, you
I'm giving you
know.
orange. I'm giving you all that orange citrus here. You got feedback. What's up with that?
Did you see my face?
I'm hearing it. Okay, stop. Okay, great. Awesome sauce.
Oh gosh, we're not. Feedback is
Wait,
so
wait, wait,
serious,
wait,
guys.
wait, wait, wait. All right, take two. Do it
Thank you.
again.
And action.
And,
We're back.
and we're back.
No Teddy Riley's over here, not with Miss Nicki Mayo, okay?
No, ma'am. I am so stoked. Thank you for having me on, by the way. And you know what? I know I had my January embargo, so thanks for understanding.
Can we start with that though? Because that's super important. Because at Women for the Culture, we tell women it's okay to take a pause. It's okay to give
I
ourselves
did.
grace, right? And you actually
Yes.
did it. And you said no one's penetrating this.
No interviews, no shows, no panels, nothing in January. I had to reset. I only had a couple of clients and projects that I had to do in January, but beyond that, I was like, listen, y'all, the way 20 bump this, the way this whole panini is set up, I need to take breaks. Okay. So
The
I'm
panini.
glad you understood that. I mean, I loved your vibe and energy when I met you. So I was like, okay, she'll be fine with this. I'm hoping. And if not, well, again, boundaries. So okay.
So it was extremely hard for me because I am just learning. Like 2021 was about boundary setting for me. So the
Yeah.
fact that I met a woman who was like, no, like, no, like, I was just like, wow, okay, let's wait. Like, wow.
Well, I had to. I had to. Because think about it. If you were in a creative space, you need to sometimes re-energize, you know? And the end of the year, I'm a December baby. So the end of the year is always going to be fun birthday time. And I really do not want to take on major projects in the middle of anybody's December. And then when January hits, normally I'm like, all right, vision board, knock this out, go and go and go. And it's like, you know what? This pandemic has really worn me out. The pivot to virtual and the demand that I've been in because of the pivot to virtual has worn me out. Uh, Folks want services, they want videos, they want live events, they want this. And after a while, it is exhausting. So I knew I needed to recharge if I'm going to be good for anybody for 2022. And the political season is going to pop up in the old way. So there's a lot of hats and faces that I wear. So this was one of those things where I was like, pause, just pause, take the break, girl. It's gonna be okay. Nobody really needs you that badly. And if it's an emergency, they'll find another way.
I love that. I know they're like, it's an election year. How dare you take a break? And
I'll
especially
be
in
back.
January at the top of the year, too. But this is
I know.
why Meet the Media is important, right? Because mental health of our Black women in media, super important. So take
And
the
we
time
have
to
been
do
under
it.
attack. Oh my God. Like we have really been under attack for like the last honestly since 2016, if you really want to go there at this, okay? But that whole need for just self-care, take a pause, girl, go take care of yourself first. Put that mask on you first before taking care of everyone else. Telling Black women to do that, that is hard. Well, we gonna learn today.
I know that's right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here because I
Mhm.
love having the support of people like you that show that I'm not crazy when I try to tell the people the PR stunt of it all, behind the headlines that we read. So I can't
Mm.
wait that we get to
Yeah,
have fun with you, right? That it doesn't have to be
yeah.
serious all the time and let's just like shoot the SHIT today.
Okay, but can we have a moment for this curl appreciation, please?
Can you
I'm
please
just saying.
help me? Curls are trained, okay? The curls are
I'm just
trained, honey.
saying, like. This is popping. I'm like, okay, okay. Yeah, okay.
You might have to
Sorry
come
about
back and
that.
give your secrets because that's important too. Women in the media that
Yes.
have to show up and are in charge of their own image.
Mm-hmm. Looking perfect. Sometimes it's going to have to be a wig de jour, but today is me. So this is fun. I love this. Like when the curls actually play nice. Yes.
They are
Yes.
and moisturized.
And popping. So what
Yes.
we going to talk about today, girl?
I feel like of all people, I had to
Mm-hmm.
talk Whoopi with you,
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah.
especially as we're talking time out. And is this a necessary time for her just to step away? Is sis being unappreciated? Because I see a lot of I see Joe Rogan still has his podcast.
Yeah, but that was, like, how you have to weigh how much money does the actual app in that case have to stand to lose if they lose that entertainer, even if that entertainer is a problematic entertainer. Whereas with Whoopi, it's like, I don't know, it's like they're kind of on the same line, but they're not. Because with the Whoopi thing, it's like you got age and the way that folks talk in said age realm, ideologies, and then also like she's been in this business long enough to know that if you're going to step on a third rail topic, and in this case, anything Jewish, and you work in entertainment, I would strongly advise against that. Like, just leave it alone. You can have coffee talk or a bar conversation, but I would not want to put it on a show like The View, where we're taking hot takes from them daily. If you can't figure it out, or if like I told a friend this a couple days ago because he also posted something that was really controversial. I was like, if you have a doubt, leave it out. Like that's a journalism rule and just take it into PR with you if you need to. But if you feel like, ooh, this will really shake up and get people upset, then consider, are you ready to weigh the possible loss in that? So
Mm-hmm.
with Whoopi, let's be straight. We were kids and well, I know I was a kid and Ghost came out. So that's where my point of reference is with her, the jumping jack, whatever that was. These were too mature for me to watch then. But she's been around so long. Does she need the view money?
Mm.
Can she take those risky conversations? I mean, their whole thing is, I can't watch The View. I've tried. I can't do the View, the chat, the coffee talk. I don't know, whatever they call it. I can't do any of these shows. I don't relate to them. I know they have an ensemble, and maybe I'm not the key demographic amongst that whole ensemble because it's not really. I was charged with pulling sound bites all the time from shows like this. And I used to beg to like, can I just do a budget hearing or something? Or,
No
what
way.
Congress doing? Can I do something else but these chicks? Because I don't care what their points of view are. And they're not even like ringing loudly with me. Whoopi stepped on a third rail topic. And it's not like she's oblivious to the impact of if you mess around and talk about the Holocaust or any Jewish relations, anything, and you work in entertainment, like you're asking for problems. And that's what she got. She got reprimanded. How long is the suspension? Do you know?
I have no idea. I'm not a View watcher either, unfortunately. I couldn't take it back with Elizabeth Hasselback, and I haven't
Oh
seen it
gosh.
since. Like 20 years, I've been out of The View.
I can't, yeah, I'm not going to take a moment to see The View or whatever they said. The thing is, I can't do it. So, yeah,
Two
she got
weeks. Diary
suspended.
of Black Mom says 2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right. Well, take 2 weeks, cool off with all your money. Just like, see, 2 weeks for her versus 2 weeks for us. Okay. 2 weeks for Whoopi. She's like, okay, fine. I'll go and, I don't know, Cabo, whatever the rich people are doing. But 2 weeks for Joe Blow American, who is in an entertainment space or in a media space, like the advice I gave to a friend the other day, this person had the job with a national news organization. Okay. Then you want to post something that you knew in the back of your mind. You want to like, let me shake up the internet. This is going to really offend some people. That second part, that's where you should have said no. So yeah, dude deleted the dumb thing any old way, but it was just the whole idea of like, you knew that by posting this, you were going to have a problem and you want to spark conversation. My issue is it messing up your bag though? Yeah. So you got that money. If you got Whoopi money, go ahead and what do you call it? Insult and get everybody riled up. But if you don't, I would say err on the side of caution, man.
Now, is this just an Illuminati issue?
It's not the Illuminati.
Is it who
Why did you go
controls
to
the
the
world?
Illuminati? It
I just
no, it's just the understanding your audience. Not to bore the folks that like, jumped in on here with us, but let's be straight. With social media, most folks are like, yeah, I got a chance to be a star, I got a chance to be have my own show. And in conversation, some places are just straight cesspools and you know it. So they wanna spark I want to get to people talking. Like you've seen some of my posts. I've gone viral several times, but I've also been working in the social media realm since about 2007. So I know a third rail issue when I see it. I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? We're gonna pass on this. The best example is this past week, one of my most viral posts. Normally, I'll post say, hey, look how well this did engagement. But since the content matter had to deal with suicide and death, I'm like, no, I didn't expect it to go viral, number one. But when it did, I was just like, you know what? Let it continue to live on because sadly, we don't have this person anymore. But knowing when to not do that, that's a news judgment thing. That's did it make sense to you?
mm,
Did you feel good? Getting to my little Gabrielle, you're like, how did it make you feel? Did you feel good? Did you learn something from that? Like, no, you did not. Don't do
right,
that. Like, yeah, with no pay. Oh, well, again, Whoopi got money. I'm not gonna try and
right.
read comic while we
And
on here.
we're not scared. We're not,
She's
we're
good.
not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. So no, it's not the Illuminati, but it's just kind of like if you know that all the gatekeepers, or I'm sorry, if you know that the majority of the gatekeepers happen to be from a particular demographic and that they're hypersensitive about anything relating to a historical event like the Holocaust, let everybody else talk about it. Don't you be the one. Like, just not worth it, sis.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of sensitivity, though, on the
Mm-hmm.
flip side, we have the podcast realm, and we've seen musicians pulling away from Spotify, India Ari
Mm-hmm.
being the most recent. Should we see more members of the media pulling away from Spotify?
It depends on how they feel about the fact that, yes, Spotify is going to have some problematic podcasters on there, and Joe Rogan is definitely one because they'll always claim he claims it's entertainment, and maybe I should have had. He's doing the whole maybe I should have the mea culpa of what I should have done. If they feel as passionately about the fact that yes, he's a whole podcaster making a whole bunch of money for Spotify, and you don't want to be associated with the fact that he seems to be so comfortable with the N word, like let's say roll off the tongue with the R's and everything. Uh, yeah, if you want to take a stand, take a stand. If you don't have the like India Ari, for her to take a stand, I was impressed because she's not like a Beyonce, like she's not like when we were saying before we talk about Whoopi having the finances to do that. No, India Ari, she kind of comes in with a hit and fades away. So she was really making a stance. And I saw her talk about like Spotify, I don't need to be associated with this. So if you are, I've always been a woman who I've taken a lot of stances throughout my career, all the way back to back to like being a sophomore in undergrad and just saying, look, I'm not with the ish, we're not doing this. But I understand how scary that can be. And if you're not used to taking a stance, if you're not used to divesting your dollars from stuff that you do not believe in, then don't do it. If you got a family to feed or whatever, don't take those risks. But I love it when people take a stance and use the power of whatever platform they have to say, I'm not with the shits, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry for the curtain. Yeah.
Our viewers are having a hard time distinguishing between the difference between right and wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
whether it's okay depending on the audience.
Yeah, they are. And I think that is sad because we've been begging folks to understand like a little bit of media consciousness and to be a good consumer and pay attention to how things are being handed to you. But yeah, right now it's kind of like if you make me feel unhappy, then it's wrong. And I'm like, not necessarily. Sadly, there's people out there that do believe, like Joe Rogan, they want to use the N word all over the place. They want to be inflammatory and spread a whole bunch of information that is inaccurate about this pandemic and COVID. And they're like, amen. They're in the amen corner with him. Just because you agree with it doesn't make it right. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I wish that media consumership was better, but it is not. And I don't think people want to strengthen that muscle either. So we're kind of at a bind here. We're always dealing with folks' emotions versus facts. And when we're dealing with facts, it was like you'd be more sensitive to the fact that some of this stuff is problematic, okay, but also it leads to a bigger snowball down the road. And that alarm that Black America, particularly Black women, but just Black America in general, were like yelling in 2015, 2016 about, listen, you realize this particular candidate has a very checkered past and has been openly racist on multiple occasions. And just because you agree with him in this moment right here, we're not going to look past the whole Central Park 5 thing. We're not going to look past the whole, like, I don't want Black people in my buildings. I don't want Black people in the front of my offices. Like, we've heard this. And there's not enough reality television to clean that up. No one listened to that because of how they felt. I'm sorry, non-Black people. They felt like they were finally being heard because whatever reason. Politics has been kind of interesting lately. But how you feel is not necessarily a fact.
Yeah.
And it needs to be understood.
We have a ton. Everyone's agreeing with you in the audience. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, like actual and factual.
I love you.
I saw factual, and that's the first thing that popped in my head.
I love it.
I choose you.
I don't know if we do that as our culture, if that's just a DMV thing. A lot of us from the DMV, we talk about that, like finishing each other's sentences with a popular song, you know.
Hey.
It's just like, that's what we do here. So
You're right.
I love it. Now, I don't want to stay on Joe too long, but since you are the soundbite queen, do you have any advice, right, for the audience on, because he blamed this on sound bites, basically a montage, a mashup of sound bites. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, yeah, well, the advice I normally am giving people is don't put it out there to be possibly misconstrued. And that's a hard thing to do. So that's why you'll always hear people stay on script. We gave you the words to say. I'm flipping into my like PR side here. If I gave you the talking points, stay on your talking points. Don't stray away from your talking points. In the last 10 years, folks have gotten so savvy with just staying on. It might get boring to the consumer, but it will keep you out of lawsuits, okay? So back on like what we as consumers should think about. When you hear a whole bunch of like, did you hear this hot take? If you have the time, I strongly advise going back and hearing the original, like, how was the context of this whole thing taken? Because that'll save you a lot. I've heard a couple hot takes. I was just scrolling the other day and I saw a hot take from Joe Biden from 1985 during a Senate hearing, right? And they were like, he was quoting somebody, were Louisiana lawmakers, and the N-word is said multiple times as he's quoting them in Congress here, right? And I was like, wow. When did Joe Biden do that? Because again, 1985, I'm 5 years old. I obviously was not watching this, right? So I went back and looked it up because I was just like, this seems really awkward. I know he is king of the awkward moments and weird hugs and stuff, but I was like, let me check. I'm curious. And I looked it up and yeah, it's right on Snopes, people. Snopes is your friend. They're not always right, but they tend to be pretty accurate when it comes to, let me fact check something really quickly. And it was just like, Joe Biden, N-word, like, did this ever happen? It happened. He was actually quoting somebody, but the only hot take I got from this one, again, it was just randomness on Instagram on a influencer page because they want to get those hits. They trying to get those clicks and they don't care about context. And they can always say, I'm not a journalist, so I don't have to look this stuff up. And they're right. They don't have to look this stuff up. But the impact of misinformation, we all saw, don't look up, is horrible. It's like, it's going to have some of y'all out here like dying because y'all are watching somebody on Instagram.
We allow it.
Yeah, it sucks. So yeah, advice is please improve your immediate consciousness. And if you hear something that sounds little like, spidey senses going up, just Google it. I mean, the internet, Google is free, people. Like, just Google it, please. Save yourself a lot of embarrassment.
I love this. I don't even have to give you guys the PR because I hope you're writing it down. It's being fed to you right now, okay?
Yes.
I love it. Now, since we're segueing from whistleblower to whistleblower, right? Dear white staffers, please tell me that you are aware of this conversation.
Is it a thread or something on like Twitter? What is this?
It's officially an Instagram feed and account. Dear white staffers, where
I need to check that.
staffers are exposing the injustices, the prejudices, the low pay wages. That I've read accounts where they've said they were forced to stand up and eat their lunch with their backs to the wall, that one staffer delivered something on the floor, and the Congress member was like, okay, so you want to be a post office worker the rest of your life? Great job. Like,
I have not seen this. I need to look this up. I am very curious.
please get
I'm
into
assuming these
it.
are all Hill staffers that are doing this.
So they say, and all of it is anonymous. But I will say the first
Ooh.
post was a meme about
Okay.
how even the staffers get paid more than minorities. If that wasn't,
Same stuff, different day. I don't know what to say. I mean, I can't speak on the thread or I need to find it because I'm curious as all get out now. But it is sad because it does kind of trigger the whole same stuff, different day. And you wish that inequities did not exist. But, to Google me real fast is to realize that a lot of my work has centered on equity. And it is really heartbreaking when you realize that no matter how high or low in the country's realm, what you're telling me is that even in like lawmaker offices and stuff, we're dealing with this as well. So it's really a heartbreaker. Um, I'm a big champion of Black spaces too. I ain't gonna lie. So while Congress may not be a Black space, I am a big advocate for go where you are loved, go where you are appreciated, and stop wasting your talent, or how to say waste your pretty. Don't waste your talent on places that just look at you as a token. It's not worth it.
isn't that crazy? And how uncomfortable, we have to go and post this meme, how uncomfortable that they're making joke at the fact that Black people are still at the bottom. Like, if you think a staffer's at the bottom, we're still doing better than Blacks. And that's the iron, like, it's actually not funny. Like, you know
That's
what I mean?
real.
Are you
That's
not going?
real. Like there's third world America, right? Like I worked in Appalachia for a year and a half, almost 2 years. Unfortunately, I worked in that part of the country, Appalachian Mountains. But once you get out there, it's Appalachia. So to work in that area and see third world America and see a place where poverty is just heavy and medical care, all the bad things are happening because people don't have access to resources and funds, and they're mostly white. But still, as I would go out on stories and thing, I was constantly reminded that these people are like, yeah, I might be broke, I might be, super poor, impoverished, but I'm still white.
Isn't
And
it
they were
crazy?
really like come at you sideways on some like, you could tell that we are like maybe, what are we like, maybe two generations at the most? No, I think I'm one because my mom is like definitely lived in the 60s and whatever. So we are like one generation out from folks calling grown Black men boy, and seeing that you need to be in some segregated type of lifestyle. I'm not too surprised anymore, and that's a heartbreak. I want to be surprised. I want to get to the point where I am surprised that anyone is coming sideways with racism and bigotry. But if our parents, well, I'm sorry, my parents saw this, and I can't really detach myself too far from it. I see that this is real, and it's not. For some reason, it won't go away. We used to say the people who believe this stuff will get old and they'll
Right.
die out. They're like multiplying or something. They're teaching it like you teach like Bible verses. They're like teaching hatred. They're teaching bigotry. They're teaching them like, no matter how poor you are, at least you're not Black. You're still white. I'm like, stop teaching this.
Oh my God.
Please stop teaching this. We don't need any more of this. I've been I've been a teacher before, and sitting there trying to work with the young minds. It's true. They don't know to hate other people until you teach them.
Jeez. Jeez.
So we're dealing with
Warrior
the adult versions of
Megzi
that.
says that she just resigned from her job because she was being the token. I can't wait. Warrior Megzi, you're gonna have to please join us over on Meet the Media because we're really gonna get into this conversation because I wonder
Mm.
if Nicki ever felt like that token, or being the
Oh
only
my
one in the
God.
room, the only one at the table, and I can't
No,
imagine.
y'all need to come back for meet the media Monday, whatever we're doing at noon. Because real talk, I'll get into the whole like hiding an entire degree just so I could coast through the small markets. Because I have two. I have a communications degree and I have an African American studies degree. Totally hid the African American studies degree just so I could get jobs.
I just got
And it's
chills.
because of the attitudes toward African American studies. And let's bring it. That was in 2001, right? When I came out of school. So fast forward to now. Look at that conversation around CRT, critical race theory, right? if you were to parallel those two and you see like the angst and the animosity and the just the pushing it away, like, no, 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 no. Imagine what I was looking at as I'm like up here applying to places like Erie, Pennsylvania, or Hattiesburg, Mississippi, or, just out in the cut. They don't want to hear anything about that black anything. And they want to make sure that you're not some militant, black person trying to come into their small rural community and, fight the power. I'll go deeper into that because this is supposed to be lighthearted. But you get the idea is that, yeah, I hit a lot because, they actually wanted to hire the tokens. You knew that.
I'm gonna
The
try my
comfortable black.
best not to cry today. I really am.
You're not going to cry. It's too early to drink though, but you're just going to cry. I was
Well,
like,
we'll
honey,
end it on one
hey,
guy who's maybe, I know all the crew is coming through. Thank you guys for joining. It's such a pleasure to have a little fun lightheartedness. Like, again, before we go into the deep and dark and start chipping away, but the conversation has to be had. But I want to end this on our favorite member of pop culture, Kanye West. How
Oh
does
God.
it make you feel that we're covering Kanye just as much as the election year?
Don't Look Up is so real. Oh my God, that movie was so real. Who cares about Kanye? I am so like, can we return to sender on Kanye? Or bump that. Can we just return back to college dropout Kanye? I'm here for that. Because that's what Kanye would had me, and I could do the whole album top to bottom. And I'm like, feeling dude. I'm feeling him. Wires in his mouth. Yeah, he's cool. But do you remember he had Stacey Dash in his All Falls Down video? Maybe that was a little bit of a sign of things to come. Just saying, like, it was just, Kanye is problematic as all get out right now. What he's talking about right now, I agree with a little bit though.
So I understand. Yes, it's about the future, right? And the future is what's going to carry us. But let's not erase Black History Month that we fought so hard for, right?
It's like he's such a problematic person that he has that whole broken clock is right twice a day thing. The current thing that he's dealing with the child, one of his kids, and being on TikTok and that tug of war, I actually agree with that one. But it's just like, I don't need to know everything that's happening in your, I can't even call it love life, divorce life. I don't know what to call this.
It's like they just gave him his phone back or something. Like, was there an agreement where Kim was allowed to take the phone and you just got the phone back? And I feel like it's like,
I don't know. I'm feeling it's like, she said, I'm not interested in connected to the Kardashians, Kanye. I'm like, nobody wants to keep up with the Kardashians. We don't want to be connected to Kanye. Like, just take all these K's. See, look at that. K, a lot of K's going on there. Just saying.
But the nerve of him to make it a brunch, and he knows we love a brunch.
Oh, he can't kill our love for brunch.
The Sunday, the Black Future brunch. I said, oh, but you know we love brunch.
Pay him no mind. Remember when he tried to do gospel? Remember that? And he tried to introduce contemporary gospel to all the gospel kids. We're like, yo, Kirk Franklin been around since like 90. What you doing? Like, what is this?
I don't know what the PR side of it all means. I really don't know. Usually there's some type of rationale to the tactics, right?
It's shiny object syndrome. I know you know about that.
Ooh.
Where it's totally what the shiny objects. Okay, yeah. So it's totally a shiny object syndrome where he's like, like, hey, real world stuff is happening. Okay, I'm about to mess up, so let me just put a distraction out there, like, ooh, squirrel, like, just something shiny. Go look at the shiny thing. And right now, the shiny things are like, what can I do? Again, what can I do to shake up the internet today? What can I do to distract from the fact that he's probably imploding and having a total mental episode? And he really does need more supervision than we're seeing. Unless I'm missing it, he needs handlers. He needs handlers. The baby needs handlers. A lot of these guys need real handlers and not just, yeah, man, you're doing a good job. No, you need straight up babysitters, adult babysitters at this point. It is heartbreaking to watch the fall of Kanye. I have not been a fan since it's been a while, shucks. If you hear me singing anything Kanye, it's probably old, like 2000s old.
Yeah. Well, lastly, I will end this on this, and this may be too tough, and tell me if you don't want to answer, but
I'll try.
Why are we okay with And
Mhm.
you're not the representative of all media, but do you have any type of feeling towards, you know, how our black men are being portrayed in the media and their downfall and us watching it all?
It's heartbreaking to see which black men are held up in a high like media rotation media cycle. Because I specialize in telling very strong, positive, active black stories all the time. And I love like a great, feel good like fatherhood story or somebody take it back to buy back the block. Like there's so many grand gestures and people who are doing good stuff. But then who do we see exalted? It always ends up being like the palatable the white friendly guy who makes you feel comfortable. And it's like sometimes the guy to be exalted may not make white America feel so comfortable. So I do get very frustrated with that. I used to, as a reporter, get tired of having to beg, like, can I do this story on? Can I please? So I love the fact that, I now have the gear to go do all these stories that I've always wanted to do. And I'm not going to wait for the green light, the check off, or the clearance from somebody's call letters or masthead, news organization to tell me that I can do that. Because black men do deserve some good, positive, you know, just some positive press. Black women, we're better at getting our words out and getting our messaging out. Black men are not, they don't seem to be as good with it, but they also are coming up against um, just the association from like the 80s and the 90s, that crap that was floating that, absentee fathers, they cracked and blah. Those narratives are so dated and so done. I am seeing the generation that I grew up amongst the whole like everybody's gonna be a crack baby, that type of thing, very 80s here, right? And to see the men, the boys now men that I grew up alongside of are like dope dads and they are like so changing their narratives individually. They just don't happen to be getting all these platforms. That's why I like the Instagram lives. I like the some of the podcasts. That manosphere is getting messy, okay? But I love some of the podcasts that are allowing folks to buy the equipment and get their own narratives out. I'm here for it. Um, if we waited for so-called mainstream media to tell our stories, they would never be told, or they would be told in a fashion that is so embarrassing and so inaccurate that you'd rather just be left on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breezy says that the new narrative is hating black women. Black
Oh
men
yeah, you
hating.
heard me mention that. The manosphere is scary. I don't know who has gotten in their ears. There was an editorial written a while ago saying that black men are like the white men of black culture. And I don't think I think the title was kind of like confusing and I don't know, like that really turned everybody off. But the idea behind it was that are they trying to like duplicate that which has already oppressed us? And if that's the case, then that's not a good move. I love the podcasts that are like lifting up positive black men. I do not like this whole thing that's going on in the manosphere slash red pill community where they're like why do you hate black women? And if you do, just ignore us then. It does not have to be so directed. There was a podcast, I'm not mentioning their names because I don't think they need any press or whatever, but it was just so sad to watch two black men sit at a table. And two black men, one of direct African, like Sudanese, and the other one's like somewhere from the Caribbean, I think like Barbados or something like that, Bajan or something. Either way, it's like, how could you hate black women so much? Who taught you to hate you? I mean, who well, for real? Like, because you're hating yourself. So who taught you to hate yourself?
You're a human
And
being. Yeah.
that manosphere area, I cannot endorse it. I want positive black men to have conversations amongst themselves and maybe invite us in. But if it's at the demise of the black community, meaning if you have to slam black women, if you want to call us pejoratives, just go away. Go have fun with the ambiguous or whatever it is that you want to have and just leave us out of this. But do not use black women as the proverbial punching bag because we already get it. Malcolm told you a long time ago we're the most disrespected, person in America.
Right.
We don't need to have it from the people who we've had you. Like we had you. How are you gonna do that? Seriously.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I told you guys it was going to be a tough Monday, but I
Oh,
think that this is why we create spaces like Women for the Culture. This is why we have to feature women like Nicki Mayo because she went through it, so we don't have to. She showed
yeah.
up boldly, so that we can, right? She prepared the space. She took up as much space as she could so that the
Hmm.
fight doesn't have to be as hard for us. Now she's doing it for herself, right? And this is
Amen
an
on that.
example that you guys can do it as well. I have goosebumps literally talking about it, but I applaud
Mhm.
you. And we're going to give you
Thank
more
you.
flowers over at Meet the Media because you are the example that we need, and that this is what Women for the Culture exemplifies, right? We have to
Hmm.
have these conversations and take them back to our families and to our communities, right? And we have to
Hmm.
show representation matters and all of the
Yes.
above. So I'm so honored to sit with you and just again, just even if it's just this light chit chat, but to
Hmm.
show some perspective, and the other side of things.
And have fun with our culture on top of that too. Like I just posted on Insta and everything else, a little cosplay, right? Because cosplay is fun. And paying homage, Black History Month. I'm gonna give you all this Black Pantherness.
I
It
love
was
it.
cute, curls popping and everything. So make sure I go to my account and see it. And the key thing is reminding people that that which was once vilified in the eyes of mainstream still was very prominent and strong in our community. Because a historian, African American studies took here, Black Panther Party made sure that people were fed, people were protected, and it motivated Black people. Like we were advocating for Black strength, but they got vilified in so many eyes on the prize type of thing. Like come on, like I need y'all to see the strength and the love that comes from so many of our organizations, even when they often get vilified by so-called mainstream. It's not that. Learn your own history, learn your own stories, and then we can celebrate us. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, on
someone questioned.
100.
Yes.
Brr, 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 brr.
She did it
I'm
again.
here for that. Yes.
The clue bomb, the DJ clue, all of that. I love it. I love it. Drop the bombs. You guys, this is an honor. I don't know who taught Nicki to love herself, but it shows, right? And
Thank
this
you. Yes.
is why she does the work. Thank God
Therapy,
for
babe.
you.
Lots of therapy.
Thank God for you.
Thank God for that.
So,
Yes.
Women for the Culture, please go and follow her. We have about 20 minutes until Meet the Media. Again, I'm going to try not to cry, but this is a
No.
journey. Her life is a journey that I can't wait to get into. Impressive journey at that.
Thank you. All right. Well, tell them to go get your coffee or tea. Join us back at noon. And I'm gonna actually try to do some work in between now and then.
Killing it. I wouldn't expect anything less. Love you. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.